The Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
And you know what? This first series, I really, really enjoyed it. Series 2 of Designing a Legacy. It premieres Sunday, 7:30 on ABC iView and ABC TV. I just went and saw his show too, Rosso 88. It was magnificent. Tim Ross, welcome back!
Welcome.
Rosso!
How are we going, team?
Hello.
I went surviving with these two.
Yeah. You know, reining them in. It's like the good old days. You'd think I would have had enough of breakfast back in, what was it, 8 and 9?
Yeah, when did you start, Kate? 2008?
Well, I left Home and Away at the end of 2007.
Yep.
Rosso was such a fan, he wanted me on the show.
See, it used to be the idea of you coming back to your workplace as triggering.
Yes.
But then I worked at ARN, which is far more triggering.
Before we get into the television show, Rosso 88, I had such a good night. You know what? Rosso does this so well, and you go back to 1988 and the World Expo in Brisbane and the cheese of it all. But you know what? There was a moment, and you talk about a very important artist here in Australia, Ken Doan.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was showing a lot of Ken Doan's art. I had no idea. I'm getting ready to have a beer afterwards. Ken Doan was in the audience.
Ken was there. He's got the most amazing voice.
Oh,
Has
does
he got it
he?
to radio?
I don't think I've ever heard him speak.
Neither. Acapulco. He says Acapulco a lot. And he's like, it's smooth as a gravy sandwich. He's unreal. It's the sweetest guy.
Well, can we talk about the podcast as well? Because it's Cars That Made Australia with Tim Ross. And I think you encapsulate this Australian suburbia and some of the most classic cars that we've had here in Australia. So can you go through some that you've covered already?
So there's the Tiranas in there. My favourite's the Datsun 180B.
Why
Ever
was that
driven one
so
of those?
good?
I ran up the back of a 120Y once upon a
Did you
time.
really?
Yeah, in Chippendale or somewhere.
That would have done damage to your
Well, they
car.
ran up the back of me. I don't know.
Yeah, because
so
they
long
were pretty
ago.
heavy cars.
Do you remember your mum's... What did your mum have?
Oh, she had a Toyota Corolla, and we took
Jarul in it.
Jarul in it.
What?
We went driving with Jarul in the green sedan.
And what did you do?
Just hung out and
Watch
did
him
cool
drive
stuff.
on the wrong side of the road. He was drinking
Was he
Cristal
driving?
for
Yeah, I thought we were going to get into trouble.
He was drinking and driving.
No, he wasn't driving. I think I was
Awesome.
driving the car. But the stuff we used to do on breakfast, like when I think back now, one of the highlights, like we drove around Sydney one morning. I mean, we couldn't get away with it now. We did mole patrol to find out where the best moles in Sydney lived. We went to the Shire. We went to Campbelltown.
Mole patrol.
Hey, wave to moles
That is
out
still
the
flying.
window.
I
Went
don't
through.
remember that, but I remember we during the whole show was you taking you had a DVD that you hadn't returned to the video library. You used to give me a hard time about calling it the video
the Blockbuster or something.
Yeah.
I can't even remember
Simpler
that.
times. We just got to take.
And we'd bring the Daily Telly in and highlight some cool things
Oh,
to talk
my
about on the
God.
radio.
Rosso, you do the Hyundai XL on the
That was a great
podcast,
car.
don't you?
Yeah, because that's a car that revolutionised the country. You know, 12,990 or 8,990 drive
Yes,
away no more to
yes.
pay. We didn't have the phrase drive away no more to pay
No.
until the XL came along. It was a good price car, and and you could steal them and
Run it into the ground.
run them into the ground, and then they were just
Didn't matter.
it was an expression of what was going on. Suddenly you could buy a Commodore for twice the price, so you could buy one of those.
Do you remember the club lock?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
They just turned into weapons, didn't they?
My mum had one of those, but she really wanted someone to steal our Ford Falcon. She really did.
Left it
She'd leave it
unlocked.
unlocked at MacArthur Square and no one ever took it.
Actually, the other one, can I say the other day that I got a bit emotional with on your Instagram post yesterday, Rosso, was the drink bottle we used to
the
take.
Daycore drink bottles.
The Daycore drink bottles. Do you remember those?
No.
And Mum used to freeze them as well.
You could taste the plastic with them. That was the thing with them. It was like, but I had one drink bottle the whole time I was at school.
Yeah, so did I.
And if I lost it, you had to find it. And my kids have had like 50 of them. I don't care.
No.
I don't
Are you sentimental, do you think, at
It's nos-
heart?
it's
'Cause
nostalgia as well, isn't it?
And I'm not... I think it's wonderful because I'm a bit like that too. It's like, how much of it do you enjoy because you are into architecture and you are into cars, and how much of it comes from you just liking yesteryear, and wanting to reminisce?
I am a sentimentalist. There's no doubt about that. And I do like nostalgia. But I do like it. I think with cars, I like our particular, I like the stories of them and what they represent. Like, I'm not really into the engine size and stuff like that. So making a podcast and these guys go, oh, well, it's a crap car because it's got this engine.
How
I
big's the donk?
I got no idea. I don't care. But I like how they're vessels for our memories. And I think the thing about cars that gets missed is they are it's all our families, those family memories. You know, my mum's Kingswood.
Yeah.
You know, my mum, then she got a Commodore, and I came back from a party and I'd had too much. I was like 15 and I had too much, some sort of Mandarin liqueur, and I spewed all over the back seat with Nana in the front seat, you know. And it was just like...
Great coming of age story.
This is Australia.
Hey, we haven't even spoken about designing a legacy. The first series was magnificent. I love it so much. So what are we exploring in this one?
This one we look at Australian architecture and the landscape and how architecture and community binds us together. You've just lost 1 million listeners with that phrase.
Don't go anywhere.
No, I love it. I love it.
No, it's really, it's the same thing. It's about how architecture connects us with place and who we are, and our buildings need to tell another story. So, you know, essentially the one thing I love about this first episode was something I was really passionate talking about in terms of architecture that's accessible, is the classic demountable.
Yeah.
And there's a building we've all been inside and that we all have some sort of connection with.
Yep.
But we never really think about them being a really great piece of Australian architecture. And this guy, a friend of mine, Michael Dysart, he's in his 80s and he designed it in the 1960s. Crazy. And they're still in use today. Everyone grumbles about them, but the reason you need them, they needed them in the 1960s, is the same reason they need them today. Is you don't know how many, well, you wouldn't know this, but you don't know how many kids turn up at a public school. You ever heard of them? Driven past one
Not
once?
at this stage. The hat rack is very full, I believe.
I've heard about them.
I read about them ages ago.
But there's not a school that knows how many kids are going to turn up on day one.
No.
So if you need a new building, just put one on the back of the truck and they can go.
And the way you would mount the air conditioning unit just on the
side.
sides, just stuck on the side.
So good.
Beautiful.
So hot and stinky, those things.
All right, it kicks off Sunday, 7:30 ABC. You can get it on iView as well, and ABC TV. Love you, Rosso. Thanks for coming in, brother.
Good to see you guys.
Thanks, buddy. Always.
Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcast.com.au.